Hello, this is DJ Nocturna again, and welcome to Interview with DJ Nocturna. I am speaking to the dark pop cabaret group, Dark Noir, one of the duos, Black Nail Cabaret, Emese. How are you? Thank you for joining.
Hi everybody. I'm great, and it's wonderful to speak to Hawaii. So I'm really excited.
We're
How's
like in
the
the middle of
scene there?
nowhere. What's
How is the scene there, by the way? I meant to ask you as the first question to the interviewer.
Yeah, I know, right? There is so much in Hawaii. You may think it's an island. We're in the middle of the Pacific, but we got a music scene here as well. Yeah. And we
Cool.
and we like to go to the beach.
Yeah. I would just think,
Beach is
how amazing that there is the dark scene is there represented in
yeah,
Hawaii
I
as
think
well.
it
So that's
has
good.
I think it has evolved through many, I mean, we've had it since way back when, since I've been around, since I've been here. It just has evolved like everything else, right, in the scene.
How
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so it evolved. People come and go. People come and people go. Like it's just like that. And we had some
Yeah.
bands that been here, quite a few.
Oh,
Uh,
I would love to visit and play there
yeah.
for sure.
Have you been to this part of the world? I mean, I actually know someone, a couple, well, actually more than that. I know some Hungarian people, so I have some friends,
Oh, wow.
and they are so creative. They're just a creative group of photography and all kinds of things, musically.
I do have friends who have been to Hawaii, but only to visit as tourists. So I don't actually know anyone who managed to play there. And we have never even been to the US, to be honest with you. So I'm really excited to go overseas, maybe with this next album, to do a small tour,
Yeah,
but
I
probably
think it'd
not
be great.
Hawaii initially, but maybe one day it will come.
I know you're touring, right? Pretty soon. I know we're
We're
jumping.
touring in the UK with
Right,
Empathy Test
right. That's
as the
right.
special guest of Empathy Test. So we're
Uh,
really excited about that. It's in April, and we're doing 8 shows in different cities. I think it's more cities than we've ever been to. So we're very excited. But we've never been to the US, so that is also kind of overdue, I think.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure you will be playing one of these days in San Francisco or Los Angeles. So we are close by. So
Oh,
you
would be
know, right?
lovely.
So first time I heard your music, I was like completely like taken by it, because it's just beautiful and haunting, mysterious, and all that.
Oh,
And
thank
the
you.
name like struck out as well, Black Nail Cabaret. And then I read more about you guys, and I said, oh, they're from Hungary. Wow, okay. So tell us a little bit about how you started out in music. And I know you formed in 2008.
Yeah, kind of. We started the band with a friend of mine, Sophie, and this was the main lineup until 2016. With her, we're still really good friends, best friends till this day. But she wanted to do something different musically in 2016, and she also wanted to start a family. She now has a boy, so um, we started to work with Krisztian after that. So if well, initially we started with Sophie in that's actually funny, a horror theater group as performers, and I think this is where the theatrical side of the band came from. Like we used to collaborate a lot with performers. There was always a performance and some sort of play during different songs. And then when Chris got into the picture, well, he was in the picture, but in the background. So we were producing, he was our producer, and we were writing songs together from the very beginning, even when we were with Sophie on stage. But then when Sophie left the band, Chris came in front. That was kind of an obvious decision because we were working on the songs together anyway. And I think that kind of changed how we view the band. So with Sophie, we had a different report, obviously, and it became more, it's a fun thing to say, but it became more unisex, even in my mind. So I started to think of it as a more, so less theatrical, more into the music kind of thing. I think this is what happened, but we still have the theatrical side for me because I like the metamorphosis part when I go on stage and I become someone else completely. So I really enjoy that and really enjoy the different stage setups to kind of create a show and to bring people in instead of just standing out there and playing our songs, but to create an atmosphere. And all musicians do that even without them realizing. They give so much more than just the music on stage, and I want it to be a full experience for everybody, including ourselves.
Oh yeah, that's very, very true. You know, I mean, I'm similar too, you know, starting out in the scene, the to performance. I mean, as we all collaborate here in Hawaii. We have a performance group, you know, and it is collaborated with the performance itself, like a dance performance, theatrical performance, and then music, like DJ
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that. So you guys are you're based in Hungary, and that's where you are now, right?
right now we are based in Hungary. Yes, we used to be in London for like 5 years, and
Okay.
then we moved back.
Oh, okay. I was expecting, you know, when you first came on, I was expecting, okay, she's gonna have an accent like just like some of my Hungarian friends here. But
Oh, we do have strong accents here in Hungary, but to be honest with you, I kept my office job. So I still work in
oh yeah.
London, and I do travel a lot to London. So
Oh,
um, I'm in touch with British people on a daily basis. So um, I think maybe because I'm a singer, I don't know, but I just love accents, and maybe I don't have such a strong Hungarian accent then, which is really general here. I know it's really strong, and I can also mime it. And if I'm tired, I do. Well, it does come out a little bit, you know.
yeah.
But
Wow.
hopefully, it's not that strong.
So I know you started out in 2008 and then you debut an album in 2010. Is that correct?
No, actually, we debuted on stage in 2010, yes. And
Oh,
then we released the album in 2012. So
oh,
that was there's quite a bit of delay because before we actually put the music on stage, we worked with different producers and we tried to find a studio where we can record a full album. And then eventually, when Chris came into the picture, he provided all that. And this is why we came down to this town called Tatabánya, where we live now, actually, because Chris is from here. And this is where we recorded the first album
Emerald
properly
City.
for the first time.
Yeah, would that be Emerald City? Is that the first album?
Yes, that's
Oh,
right.
okay. All right. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so I know this is the one you have now that you're releasing. That's your sixth studio
That
album,
is six. That's right. Yes.
and it's a beautiful name, Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum. Yeah.
That's really
Quite
pretty.
difficult to say though. So
Yeah,
maybe it's not the easiest of names.
that's okay. You know, one of the albums I really, really just completely love is the Black Nail Cabaret and Friends of Woodland Memoirs.
Oh yes, that's some
Gosh,
lost.
it's so beautiful. I mean, I know that these are songs that came from other albums, right? It's a different version of the song. And of course, I love the other versions as well, the original. But this one, it just adds a different flair to it, I guess you could say. It's different from the other albums, correct?
Yes, it's very different. It's actually, I would say it's a side project because well, it's definitely a side project even for us, but we definitely didn't want to mix it with the studio albums so people don't think that this is a new direction because it's absolutely not. And we are sticking with electronic music.
Yeah.
But we wanted to try something new. We wanted to try a different setting for the songs we have. And the
Mhm.
idea actually came from me seeing some industrial and Gothic bands in Europe, like that is like Gothic meets classic, and then there's an orchestra, and they play their songs in a very classical, minimal way, and it has become beautiful. And I thought that it would be so nice to do something like that, but instead of an orchestra, we just looked around and we talked to our very good friends here in this town who happen to be super talented musicians, and we came together and started improvising each song, and this is what has come out.
Yeah, I love the song Sister Sister. And I know that's from the 2016 album, Detromat, if I'm pronouncing it
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know you have a different version of that song in this album, and I really love that, how it's just transformed into a different kind of sound, but it's still beautiful as ever. I mean, it's still beautiful, completely.
Thank you. I think that is one of my favorites from Woodland Memoirs, the new version of Sister Sister, because it really represents what we wanted to do, that kind of Twin Peaksy, David Lynch-like vibe, that kind of surreal, slow, a bit haunty.
Yeah. And very like cabaret, very
Yeah,
sexy and
so
very sexy kind of. Yeah, if anybody's listening, to check that out. But yeah. So who writes the lyrics and put the music together? It's a collaboration between you and Chris.
I do write the lyrics, so all of the lyrics are from myself. And the music is usually together. So there are songs which I start with, and there are demos from my little lab here in this room, from my computer. And Chris is also working on songs and riffs and bits. And then when I hear something, I just run over and I say that, oh my God, this is fantastic. I have an idea for it. Let's work on this. And I come up with the lyric straight away, or I already have a lyric that I pair with the song that he started to play. And then for example, No Gold, he had the riff of the bass line and the drums, and I liked it so much that I asked him to send me bits with hi-hats, without the hi-hats, and so different parts. And I started to put it together and wrote the harmonies on top. So it's like a collaboration. And whenever I write a song on my computer and I bring it over to him, then he starts to put additional little ideas. And then well, he's the producer of every song and every album, so basically he kind of shakes it up and puts it together in terms of sound, and sometimes he removes a track and sometimes he adds one whenever he feels that is needed for the overall sound. That is what usually happens, really.
So how did you come up with the name itself, Black Nail Cabaret?
That's actually funny. So this was still with Sophie, and we were obviously regulars at the golf clubs back in the day. And I just wanted to think of something that is really like what we wear all the time, what it's like a must-have for the complete outfit, and that was the black nail polish, really. So I just thought the black nail, and then added cabaret to show that we don't take this too seriously. And also the cabaret also represented the theatrical side a bit.
Yeah.
So I think this was the idea behind it. And because the band has changed so much since the whole concept of the band has changed, I still don't know how this name comes across when someone sees us today and then matches the name. I don't know, but we just kept it. There were some people who said that maybe we should change it, maybe we should shorten it to Black Nail because that matches us more
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, I don't think so.
No, I think you should leave it. I think it adds I don't know. I mean, to me, I like it the way it sounds. I think Black Nail, no. Because I mean, if you Google Black Nail, it would just say Black Nail. Like you'll see a website that says it has a black nail. You
Yeah.
know, that's
But
that.
it sounds more sharp, and maybe if we did something more minimal, like maybe techno or industrial, it would be really minimalistic. Black nail would really be suitable, but I think we still have the cabaret going. So
Yeah, I think it sounds good. I like everything that you guys have put out, your albums. I know this is the sixth one that you have coming out in 2024, which is in, what is it, March?
yeah, it's the 1st of March.
The 1st of March. Yeah, it's on Dependent Records. You've been on Dependent Records since 2020, right?
Yes, so
Yeah.
the last record came out with Dependent in 2020. That's right. God's Verging on Sanity.
Oh yeah, yeah. So what is the tell us the background a little bit of this latest album, and how did that come about, and what was the whole process?
Right. We were actually sitting on this album for quite a long time. I think, well, it took us 3 years almost to finalize all the songs. We did have the songs in the drawer, but we didn't really start recording until very last minute, and this is kind of what we usually do. But the previous album was also, it had the concept of fear, the concept of fear of death. And this album is sort of a continuation of that idea, but it goes in even more deeply. And not that I do understand and I do see all my fears now, but it's kind of like laying down into your own deathbed and just observing and accepting the fear, not just a fear of death, because I think, in my view, everything, all the little tiny fears of change, of losing your partner, of losing your belongings, your home, that kind of leads back to the primal fear of death, of change, of losing. And this is what I have been mostly exploring throughout these songs. I'm not saying that all the songs are about this topic, because obviously it's not that clear, but this is where it's coming from. I had lots of dealings with these fears and facing lots of things that were swiped under the carpet in the past couple of years, and I tried to kind of untangle them during writing these songs.
So you were kind of like in the healing process as you were writing these songs. You were going through the transformation in some way.
It's always a healing process, I would say, whenever a lyric comes out, not just with an album, with each and every song, that is always a revelation, always something that I grasped and I managed to open up, and I can write about it. So I think it happens with every single song, individually, and also with this album. Like, putting this album out is kind of releasing all this buildup of emotions, of these findings that I had in the past couple of years.
And how about the title of the album? How did that come about? 'Cause when I think of that, I think of loneliness, grief. So I can see your point now. I understand more.
The chrysanthemum is, I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but in Hungary, it's a very, very popular flower to be used in cemeteries
Mhm.
because it lasts the longest. It keeps fresh the longest. So it's kind of a grave flower. So it has a somber tone to it, but also it's quite, lively, and it stays alive for a long time. And I picked that. Well, mainly there's part of one of the lyrics. Chrysanthemums bloom under my feet. It's like, it's a picture of walking and just accepting and observing this fear. And the whole picture came from it's funny, but so when the Buddha was born and he started walking, lotus flowers started to grow under his feet.
Right.
And that image stuck with me so much. And I just had the feeling that when going through life, different things may bloom under your feet, different kind of undertones, if you may. And I found that chrysanthemum is the one that bloomed under my feet when I was walking through all this pain and all these fears, and walking towards facing them.
Oh
I
wow.
hope it makes.
Wow, that's so beautiful the way you explained that. Wow, I could almost see it. That's great. Wow. You know what I really like as well is your you did some covers, um which I particularly, I know you did a Pet Shop Boys cover. Um
Rent.
yeah, Rent. I love that song, and another one too, boy, Desireless,
Oh yes, voyage, voyage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've never heard anybody do that song in the cover. There might have been, but I love the original. Do you speak in French as well?
No, I don't. I've actually tried to learn for like a month, but I gave up. But I just love the melody of the French language. When we were in Paris, in the subway, I was listening to the different stop names, and it was just so amazing. And we always saw the name of the stop written on the car, on the carriage, but we tried to figure out, so we did a contest whether we can figure out how it will sound like when she actually says it in the loudspeaker. So we were always way off. We could never figure out, but it was always beautifully sounding in the end.
Oh yeah, well you do that song so beautifully in your own version, which is just as beautiful. And I know you
Thank you.
and I know
My
you have
best.
another yeah, you're welcome. And I know you have another album that it's simply called The Covers, released in
Yeah.
2015, and you have other covers there which I find really interesting as well. And I know you there's one particular one I love, such a shame, Talk Talk. And I know you
Yes.
have mode as
It's a
well.
long one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So big shout out to Ethan Marolis um as well. And he's a great guy. And I know you'll be touring in April, and that's
Empathy,
coming
empathy.
up. And it's a UK tour. So I hope you guys
Yeah.
make it down to the US, like you said. If there's a country in the US you would like to go to, where would you like to what particular state do you have in mind that you would like to visit that pops out? And
Well, really, I mean, I haven't been to any of the states, so whatever whatever they can give me, then I would go with it, you know. I'm actually, if I would go as a tourist, I wouldn't be interested in the big cities, maybe. Well, obviously, I would start with the necessities like New York and Los Angeles, but them out of the way, probably I would go to the countryside because I was always fascinated with the tornado corridor, Oklahoma, I think Kansas and maybe Texas. Part of Texas is also part of the tornado corridor where tornadoes occur from May until like September. And I was always fascinated by tornadoes. And one of my bucket list things is to see a tornado live with my own eyes, even if that is the last thing I will ever see. So,
wow, if you like tornadoes, that's amazing. Is there a reason why you? I mean, why do you like tornadoes?
I don't know. I would like to put it to like a particular movie, but I just can't really point to anything because I remember when Twister came out in the 90s, it was in cinemas in Hungary as well. But it wasn't that because we went to see Twister when I was 12 with my brother because I was fascinated by tornadoes. So it started in a very, very early age. And I have no idea when it started.
You can be like the chaser to you chase tornadoes. You know, some people do that. They chase.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to go on a hunting trip or something, and maybe just with people who understand how this works and maybe we could get out of the way in time. But actually, this was my dream, and I even studied meteorology for a year at university, but then I gave up because I realized that, well, I'm not really a physics type of person, and I'm probably not going to finish it, and I would rather write a poem about a tornado than understanding how exactly it works. So, yeah.
You know, I actually lived through one of them, but it wasn't. I don't think it really went through as hard as it was something that was kind of building up. I was actually on the phone. I was living in Maryland at the time, and I was talking to somebody on the phone, and then all of a sudden I heard this.
Wow.
I looked out my window, and then everything was up in the air. They were flying around, and I'm like, "The heck was that?" And I mean, Maryland does have tornadoes, and you have to run down in the basement and stuff. But I didn't even know it was happening. I wasn't aware this was back in the '90s.
And have you seen the Twister, the
No,
actual
I don't even know where it came from. The last thing I saw was all these things. I could have died, but I guess it was really so far away that it was like the remnants of it.
Yeah.
wind just blowing things around. So it was probably somewhere.
South winds or whatever they call it. I don't know the professional terms, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That was I was like, oh my God, I should have been in the basement and not right here where I was on the phone.
Not on the phone.
And there was no warning. It was nothing. I don't know what happened, but anyway, I don't, to be honest, I don't even know if that was a tornado. It could have been, but what was that? That was just the weirdest thing. I
Was it, did you say it was in the 90s?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Maybe the warning wasn't the best. It wasn't at this
Maybe, yeah.
highs
Or maybe
at
they
that
did the
time.
warning, but I just didn't know about it because I was on the phone.
Hopefully, it's getting better now.
Yeah. It was just
So
that the wind, the leaves were blowing and it was all up all over the place. And that was something. Something must have happened. And
something was on.
yeah, and it was not, it was kind of a clear day. I mean, it was not there was no storm or anything like that. So yeah,
It easily could have been like a small kind of twister that just swiped
that's
through.
what I think it was.
Um,
Yeah. So that was the closest I ever been to. I mean, we experienced a lot of disasters where we have typhoons here and hurricanes, but earthquakes, but not tornadoes. Not in Hawaii, at least.
I have to be honest. I mean, I'm not like a catastrophe kind of girl, so I'm not enjoying disasters. But I'm just, for some reason, I'm fascinated by this creature of nature, of weather. That's just, I think it's just fascinating, all the power that nature can create in a second. So
True.
I don't know. It could take me. I don't care. I just want to see it and experience it.
So I know your latest album. You have two videos, two releases you released already, which is Road Trip and Autogenic. And there's a
Yes.
video for Autogenic. Tell us about the video for that one.
It was shot by our great friend who's a photographer. So this is her very first effort for a music video. And she's an amazingly talented person. She does the most intriguing concert photography because she puts her her particular vision into it. And maybe it's not a typical like very straightforward concert portrait that you would see, but it's more like it's alive and it's really alternative. Her style is really alternative and very much reminds me of the 90s. And this is what I wanted to put in the video to kind of pay an homage to the stuff we like from the 90s, the cult movies, the scenes, the colors.
Yeah.
And maybe if the lighting is not the best, but still there's the mood, the atmosphere that comes through. And this is what we were trying to do to create. And Autogenic is really about sinking down in yourself and watching the signals of your body and watching the emotions and thoughts bubbling up by the different sensations. And this is what I wanted to create, a sort of a dreamlike imagery. And I think we did that quite nicely. And with obviously with the stuff that we had and the budget that we had, I think it worked out nicely.
And I know you have played with Covenant.
Yes, we did a tour of them.
Yeah, that's
That's
amazing.
yeah.
And your 10th anniversary tour with Empathy Test. It says 10th anniversary tour is coming. You'll be going to Manchester on April 4th,
Yeah,
and it runs
I
all the
think
way.
perhaps our part of the tour starts there in Manchester. I think that might be the first gig of this tour for us, at least, because they are touring quite a bit even before that in Germany,
It's great.
and they have plenty of dates.
Well, we're looking forward to the album when it's released, Chrysanthemum, coming out on March 1st on Dependent Records. And congratulations on that. And we're looking forward to the rest of the songs. It looks like a great, I mean, I love the two songs already. So I'm sure it's gonna do really well.
Thank
And
you. Hope so.
yeah, and I hope you can make it to the US, and I hope to catch your, well, I'll go to Europe soon. I mean, I haven't been back in England in such a long time. I think it's time to go on a trip to England again. or to where
Well,
you guys are. I've never been to Hungary.
would be
Or,
lovely to be in the UK if
oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know, you do have a website. It's called blacknailcabaret.com. If anybody wanted.
yes, well, it's an old website, so it will hopefully be refreshed in the next week or two because it doesn't really have the updated information. So right now we are using a Linktree, and also we're using our Bandcamp mostly. So those are the most up to date, and obviously our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and even X. It's all up to date. So this is where we post the most recent news, and all of the releases are there. So, but hopefully the website will be pimped up as well.
And then you have a Bandcamp page as well, Black Nail Cabaret on Bandcamp. All right. Thank you so much for joining me on the show and doing this interview. I'm looking forward to the album release. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having me.
Emese.
Yes,
Okay.
permission.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.